Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday night, 8:27 p.m. Eastern Time, and guess what? I fell asleep, and it's all Dean's fault. So we got a show for you guys tonight, you guys and gals out there, and it's going to be a short one. So apologies for that. Although we don't have a lot on the docket tonight, but we do have some very important stuff to get to off the top. First and foremost, as always, my partner in crime, Mr. Dean Renner. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, everyone? I am beat. It's been a long weekend, a lot of sleep deprivation, but some cool stuff to get into tonight. Some, I would say, interesting but productive changes possibly coming that we will get into. I will let Sean detail most of that. And I have a show and tell. I got a new release, so we'll see if we have time for that. If not, I can always save it. We can come back to it. Not a big deal.
We are not leaving the show tonight without show and tell.
All right.
It's not happening.
Okay. Well, there we have it. So we're getting a show and tell. But yeah, so there we have that. And Sean, why don't you kick us off with our first topic of discussion?
All right, so this is not how I wanted to do this. We had no stream set up. Just not good, but spread thin, and here we are. So, a combination of a few of us have been doing a lot of research lately, just about YouTube's algorithm and how it works. And, some people are going to be celebrating in the streets for this, maybe for the wrong reasons. And other people might be a little sad. And I'm someone who has a really hard time letting go of things and accepting change. And so I'm a little sad, and I want to give this an appropriate amount of time. So once again, we'll probably be doing a Halloween Retribution discussion next week. But there's a bunch of it I want to get into this week. Dean's got a bunch of notes, that he wants to go over. I just re-listened to the audio portion of it on Audible earlier today. That ending, man, is just that needs to be seen on a big screen, not just a small screen, a big screen. So we'll get into that, and then we're gonna finish the show off tonight, recapping a few Halloween TV series rumors. But first and foremost, we've been doing a lot of research, and this isn't excuses. I would advise anybody who has a YouTube channel, if it's small, if it's not generating the traffic that you think it should be, there's probably reasons for that. Some of them, might be your fault. Some of it might be our fault. But a lot of it has to do with a changing algorithm, and, we want to play into that algorithm a little bit more.
Yeah.
So let me see. What's the date today? I don't know if we have a show next Monday or if it'll be on the Tuesday. Next Monday is Canada Day, so that's not likely. But I can tell you that essentially we have two live recordings or live streams left. And the reason for that is we're going to take a different approach on creating our content. We're going to post them as videos, but we're still going to be very active in the comment section. We're redoing our whole Patreon program. The last thing I want is this thing to come across like a money grab. It's not being done for that. It's being done so that the content is more accessible. And you'll see in terms of where we place things and stuff. But you'll see live streams on this channel. And I'll come back to that. This channel. Far less frequently, so that when you do see them, it's more of a special occasion, like a once a month, sometimes when it's needed, twice a month. And I can tell you, as part of that, Mr. Mike Bish will be returning to the channel, and he'll be joining Dean and I on these live streams. There'll be no set date for these live streams. We'll be working on our schedule just to see when we can fit it in. But there's a good bet that these live streams are going to be 2 to 3 hours long, and we're probably going to watch a horror movie on each one, answer questions, just hang out with you guys, and you guys can talk about and ask questions about the videos that we post. So tonight in Haddonfield, will continue. You'll be able to catch it on podcatchers. We just put a bunch of our Westeros content up on podcatchers today. And tonight in Haddonfield will be available over there. There'll be certain things that are exclusive to Patreon. And then there'll be shorter form content posted from tonight in Haddonfield on this YouTube channel. Now, those of you that have tuned in for a long time know that, Fandom Empire has been a really big part of my life. And I would like to think, maybe it's a overinflated ego a bit here, but that we, during a time where the world was, very much shut down, provided, not just accurate content, but, some fun loving, easygoing atmosphere content for people for a couple years. That's a couple years ago. This channel doesn't look like that anymore. The people that were a part of that content, who a great many of them mean a great deal to me, are not on this channel as much anymore. The way that we're doing content now doesn't even reflect what Fandom Empire was then, let alone the massive changes that we are making to better the content for each and every one of you. And I know what you're saying, Sean. I don't want to sit through 5-minute fucking intros anymore. And the good news about that is you're not going to have to. Unless you're tuning into the Patreon live recording of stuff, then you'll probably hear that. But if you're just watching our content as it comes up on YouTube, the intros will be gone. Again, more focused on producing videos than actual live streams. But we're definitely going to be offering people stuff on Patreon. Honestly, I want to thank the staff that we have here now for being very supportive during this process. And it wasn't an easy decision to make, but we've effectively made the decision to end Fandom Empire. Fandom Empire started in 2018 under the name Fandom Cantina and was rebranded Fandom Empire right around the time Halloween returns. Yeah, Halloween 2018 came out. And I just don't think it's fair anymore to refer to this thing as Fandom Empire. One being the people that brought you Fandom Empire. Most of those people aren't around on a regular basis anymore. And it's not fair to them because they really helped make Fandom Empire what it is, or was rather. But the other part of this is, for a long time, a lot of you have been saying, why is there Game of Thrones content or Star Wars content or wrestling content or whatever fucking thing we've decided to talk about on any given night on the channel? And why isn't the channel just staying focused on Halloween and horror content? Well, we can tell you, effective as of, approximately, I'm looking at July 15th as the launch day. It might happen a little sooner than that, might happen slightly later than that. But July 15th is going to get here, and a few things are going to happen before that. One is we are going to do a big party live stream to end the Fandom Empire era. My hope is Dean will be here. My hope is the likes of people like Mike Bish, Tommy, Kieran, Johnny, and so many others that you know from the past will all be here to participate on that stream and talk about a wide range of topics. Honestly, big thank you to every mod who has ever helped us out on the channel. We've dealt with some BS at times, and those mods have really helped us work through that. To take some accountability here for myself, the content needs to be better. That's simple, which requires a commitment. And if we're committing to primarily just doing Halloween and horror content on this channel, you, the returning viewer, knows what Fandom Empire is. But the millions of people out there who have never heard of Fandom Empire in no way as a name screams Halloween or horror. So we are rebranding the channel. And we went through a For me, it was a longer process, but for the rest of the staff and Dean and Jade and everyone involved in the Legacy of Halloween, it was a little bit of a quicker process. But we went through like 30 different branding possibilities, cut it down to 10, cut it down to 6, cut it down to 3, eventually cut it down to 2. And we've come up with a brand new channel name going forward. And look, you can slap lipstick on a pig. At the end of the day, it's still a pig. That's why the content's going to change. The quality of the content's going to change. The direction of the channel is going to change. It's not going to look like the same place anymore. And with that, and this is not a this might be close to the permanent logo. We haven't decided yet, but here is the name of our new channel after a little bit of an extensive process going through different options to properly reflect the content that will be on it. Fandom Empire will be coming to an end, but before I show the name, those of you that do tune into the Westeros content and the Star Wars content, we've just started up the Legacy of Star Wars channel again. And the Legacy of Westeros channel is actually approaching monetization. So if you're looking for your Game of Thrones content, please head on over there or look for it on podcatchers. Our Patreon will still be an all-encompassing thing of all of our channels. We're not going to have 4 different patrons or Patreons. But it leads us to this. While Fandom Empire goes out, we usher in a new era of Haddonfield and beyond. We went through several different name possibilities. We came up with these 6 that we were deciding on at the end. But ultimately, we decided that the name that made the most sense for the direction of the content was going to be Haddonfield and Beyond, a focus on Halloween news, rumors, but also a much bigger deep dive into the lore, the history, documentaries, video, books, you name it. Taking Shape 1, Taking Shape 2, interviews with other creators, you name it. We'll be doing it, and you'll be getting multiple videos every single week. And so this is the direction we've decided on. Dean, do you want to say a couple words here before we move on to some Halloween Retribution talk here in a few minutes?
Yeah. Fandom Empire for me was a fun outlet. I kind of came around more so when Halloween Kills was very relevant in the news and in kind of the background. And I was looking for, details without spoilers. But I wanted to see, like, what were we getting for Halloween Kills? So that's kind of really what roped me in and brought me to the channel. It brought me in as a live viewer. And then, I stuck around for a while. I got to know Sean on a more personal level. And him and I just kind of hit it off and always chatting, horror movies, Halloween updates, all kinds of stuff. And here we are, sometime later. And we now are doing a show and branding an entire channel around all of the information that him and I talk about pretty frequently. So it's a little bit sad to see Fandom Empire kind of come to an end, but I have to say I'm very excited for Haddonfield and beyond, and to get into everything that Sean just mentioned as far as books and documentaries and, more deep dives on a lot of stuff that the average fan base or even some of the more hardcore fans may not be that much aware of. There's a ton of Halloween content and information out there, and we would love to cover as much of it as we can moving forward. So, I guess, I have to say I'm pretty excited and really looking forward to, the direction that we're going to take this thing.
Yeah, to steal a moniker from a podcast that gave me my beginning into podcasting way back in 2015, this is very much going to be a passion project from fans for the fans. No hidden motive here. Obviously, if we get any financial support, that's great. But it's going to be about quality of content and a deep dive into a franchise that both you and I love, but also there's a reason it's titled Haddonfield and Beyond. We will be talking about other horror topics that are relevant to what's going on in the industry today. honestly, the best piece of advice I could give anybody is if you're struggling with your YouTube channel, lean into the analytics. There's probably a reason for it. There's probably some self-blame to wear. I know there is in my regard and our regard. But go check out a channel like vidIQ and like seriously catch up on the material they do. They do try to help creators out. Go check up on a channel like Think Media. I cannot stress it enough. I can't thank our sponsors enough, because without them, we wouldn't be here, and we'll continue to have those sponsors that'll support Haddonfield and Beyond, as well as the other channels. Jesse from Storytime Spectacular, Jason from Backtrack Cinema, Ryan from Colleague Nation, and Matt and Chris. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And to our patrons, thank you for your generosity. The truth is we haven't put out nearly enough Patreon content over the last little while, and we will be doing so moving forward. So there you have it. Fandom Empire is coming to an end. How's it going, Nick? Long time no see. Hello to everybody in the chat. Sorry, it's a quick stream, so don't have a ton of time to hang out with the chat tonight. And that's the other thing. Look, we understand some people really love the live chat, and that's going to be an adjustment for us getting used to not being on each and every week. By the way, Nick has a great channel. Check it out. Nick's been a long time viewer and supporter of this channel right from the early days. So it's going to be an adjustment getting used to not being live all the time. But in terms of producing better quality, look, I got 2 young kids, a daughter who's an absolute menace. Dean deals with stuff on his end too. We very much like the option of being able to say, hey, let's pause recording for 15 or 20 minutes, go do what we need to do, and come back to it. But I also think that it will make the live streams that we do on Haddonfield and Beyond between Dean, myself, and Mike Bish, who will be returning, it'll make those live streams mean more. I think there'll be more of like an event type feeling, and you'll get plenty of notice before we do one, hopefully a couple of weeks. Yeah. And I don't know what we're going to do yet, but I would like to kick things off with a bang in regards to that. And probably looking at the back half of July for the first one. And we're excited. So Haddonfield and Beyond, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section down below if you're not watching live. I know there was not much notice before this live stream, but again, thank you to everybody who came on this journey with us. It's sad to, not just let go of a name, but let go of something that was a form of escapism for me and many others for a long, long time. And, we're still going to be here, but it's definitely going to be different. And we look forward to this new chapter. Without further ado, though, we're going to talk about Halloween Retribution. Honestly, an incredible Halloween story that was going to be Halloween 9 at one point in time, a sequel to Halloween Resurrection. And I'm just taking a look here at this. It was done by Duty Appleton and Jim Keeble. This was a follow-up on the treatment to the H25 scripts. By the way, there is a Halloween Retribution script out there. So it's pretty public. It's not like, go on the black web or whatever. It's out there, so you can obtain it fairly easily. And also to the fella in the chat who keeps saying that there's a Halloween Aftermath script leak, I have absolutely no interest in viewing that, because the people that are working on that project are friends of ours and are pouring their hearts and soul into that project on a level that, in my opinion, no other Halloween fan film has ever done. And I am more than content with waiting for that project to come to life and continuing to support that here. So if you could not post that again in the chat, that would be great. Dude, the biggest thing that stands out to me is obviously, much like our thumbnail, it is a story that pulls in John Tate and Sheriff Brackett together as almost like I don't want to call it a buddy cop movie, because it's definitely not a comedy, but it is an interesting duo to put together for a story. I really thoroughly enjoy it. Between putting those two together killing Freddy off, fairly early, and honestly, he kind of deserved it because he's just as big of a dick in this as he was in Halloween Retribution or Halloween Resurrection. Those two names are too similar. But the other thing is this proposed movie would have given me what I have asked for basically my entire life. Michael Myers in the snow. Someone's got to do this shit.
Yeah. So close it would have happened. The ending, which I'm sure we'll get to, basically set on or around a frozen lake. So that plays a part. Which leads to the ending that we mentioned last week with questionable John Tate decision, where is he going to go from here? So I went back, I kind of glanced over my notes to get a little bit better idea of what we are going to be getting into, but sorry, my mind is kind of racing at the moment, but so to get into what I thought, I guess, of this, it was a great read when I went back and read the notes. Great story. I would have much rather this over, some other probably installments in the franchise. But, we can cover it here. It's a lot of fun, good stuff to get into. It gives us, like you mentioned, a good John Tate and Lee Brackett story, but also it kind of gives you the typical cast of teens, and there's about 4 or 5 of them, I believe. They end up at Smith's Grove. That plays a part. That was one of my favorite parts of the entire thing, is what unfolds there. And you get a nice balance, I think, of Michael, being typical Michael and going after his, kind of random victims. But you get John Tate and Lee Brackett back in pursuit of him as well. And the climax, I believe. Pretty good ending. Would have been pretty expensive to shoot, just like Sean said last week, but excited to get into all the details here.
So why don't we do this? We only got about 20 minutes left in the show. It's a short show tonight, so you got a bunch of notes. The big thing for me that stands out when it comes to this project is it's strong. It was a worthy entry in the Halloween franchise compared to some of the weaker entries we have in the franchise. And it was at a point where, they had a release date in mind, they had a filming date in mind, and they were going forward with this thing, and it fell apart. What were some of your major notes that you took from this? Some of the key points. Maybe let's go over half of them and then save half of them for maybe not even next week. If we can get back together later this week, it might be possible too. So,
okay. So I basically, as the narrator in the audiobook was kind of going over, I don't know if it was a script or not, but basically just all of the details I kind of followed along and took as much as I could from everything that he was reading and kind of broke the entire movie down. So I have like the beginning, and then there's some time jumps like I mentioned, and it explains how he breaks out of Smith's Grove, and where else are we at here? Basically makes his way back toward Haddonfield. You've got Freddie Harris is on a book tour. He went the Malcolm McDowell route. He kind of is capitalizing on his fame from his encounter with Michael in Resurrection. So he goes and writes a book. Doing a book tour, Michael catches up to him, and then the snowstorm we mentioned, that kind of leads the kids to they wanted there. I believe there was a curfew. They want to have a Halloween party, and Halloween, I believe, is banned at this point in Haddonfield, and kids are basically, fuck that, we want to have a party. So that's what kind of gets them out into the elements, and then they break down, end up at Smith's Grove, and Michael has been tracking them along the way. So Michael catches up to them at Smith's Grove, and I believe Lee Brackett and John Tate, they kind of are following along, and they catch wind of Michael being back in Haddonfield. So that kind of sparks them to sort of team up a little bit, go after Michael, and they're both basically out for revenge. So I basically just broke down as much as the narrator could or gave us in the audiobook, and I pretty much started from start to finish. So I have a lot of stuff here. And the interesting part is, I think, yeah, right here. The movie actually starts 1 year after Michael kills Judith. So I think that was a really cool starting point. And then it does lead up to 1978. So they still stick with 78 as a base for how he escapes. And then it takes off from there.
Freddie goes on sort of the Loomis Rob Zombie Halloween 2 book tour, where he greatly exaggerates what happens and says that basically he's the man that killed Michael Myers. John Tate gives him a little bit of a warning, being like, hey, I don't think my uncle's very fond of publicity. And sure enough, he's not. He brings Freddie's life to a quick end, and then you have Brackett, who's very much out to get retribution for what happened to Annie many years back. I just think the dynamic between putting those two characters together at a time where you're not going to be leaning on Jamie Lee Curtis is smart. I think the problem is the Acads at this point in time got up in front of a crowd at a convention and said this movie was happening, and some of the details got out, and Bloody Disgusting back then covered it, and the internet blew up, and it was Halloween Retribution talk for probably upwards of a year, and then it just never materialized. And I still think, knowing that you might not have some of the same parties on board, that this if you were really stuck for a story, would still be worth watching. I would watch this get made. And I want to talk a little bit about the ending of it. And then we'll do show and tell and wrap up with some Halloween TV series rumors and thoughts. But the ending on, essentially the partially frozen lake, and Michael and John both going down in the water. I like the idea of Michael just sinking in the water, Jason style.
Right.
I think the imagery could be great. I think Michael as a silhouette on a white background in a very snowy Haddonfield would look fantastic. It would serve as a character in its own right. And I liked how they pulled John at the end, and John has the mask in his hands, and there's a little bit of confusion as to if the mask and the events have done something to John, and if John will be Dean's favorite character, Corey Cunningham, moving forward. At least John might have a little more, reason for it. But I think there's so much potential in the story, man. I didn't get a chance to sit down and listen to the interview with Duty Appleton. It's only 13 minutes long on that audio book. But I want to, before we do our next show, just to get more into the nuances in terms of where they were going with making the film. For me, this, along with Halloween Returns and even the reboot trilogy, is some real missed opportunities for this franchise.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's kind of sad. Returns would have been fantastic. This even would have been really good. When they did announce it, I think they kind of had the idea that this would be one of the best entries into the franchise at that point. Reading it, I certainly think it might have been up there, but of course, kind of script to screen is always difficult. Execution is a big, big thing. So there's a lot of great ideas here. There's a lot of great sequences, and it would have been a matter of how well were they shot, how well were they crafted and put together. So, that's my only point of skepticism, I guess I would say, is how well would it have translated to screen. But I would certainly, absolutely have sat down and given this a watch, and been really curious to see how well it played out.
There's a lot of one-hit wonders out there, two-hit wonders out there that don't produce the same material after they do one of their big hits. But I think another thing I'd like to do is sit down and take a look at what Duty Appleton and Jim Keeble ended up putting together with their career, because that's not something I've investigated in. And these are the type of deep dive things that we're going to be doing on Haddonfield and beyond going forward. Is we will be just diving into every aspect of the franchise, taking Shape 1, taking Shape 2, Halloween 3, where the fuck is Michael Myers? There's a Halloween 4 extended novel that I'm going to try to pick up at some point to go over that, because I'm passionate about Halloween 4. Anything that you can think of about Haddonfield, Halloween, the characters, the lore, the future, we're going to be doing on the channel, and it'll be in a more digestible form for all of you, because instead of having to shift or sift through a 60 to 90 minute live stream, you'll get like a 12-minute video or a 15-minute video or a 20-minute video based off of one or two topics, and then you'll get another one, and you'll be able to sort of guide us on what to do next. So definitely be on the lookout for the changes there. Let's get to some show and tell. We're going to do more Halloween Retribution. I don't want to say when. I'm going to do my best to figure out something with Dean here. But let's get to some show and tell. And show and tell's not going anywhere. For those of you that are worried that we're not going to be live streaming all the time, Dean and I will be recording show and tell. People who do support us on Patreon, though, we haven't decided on a tier. We're not going to jack it up to some high tier either. But you will still be able to watch our live recordings, because Dean and I are still basically only going to be meeting up once a week, on occasion maybe twice a week, to record the content. It's not like we're going to record for 20 minutes and then stop. We'll be recording 2, 3, 4 pieces of content at once, and you will get to sit there and watch us do that and participate in the chat still. But it's just it's more beneficial for us and for you, even if you're not supporting us on that level, for us to release everything as videos rather than live streams. So without further ado, let's get to some show. I always get this mixed up. Show, share, and select. Dean, what do you have for us this week, man?
All right. So, brand new Arrow video release. However, it is an import. So this comes from Arrow UK. It's a 1981 sort of camp slasher. Vinegar Syndrome here in the States has already put this out, but this is a case where it seems like they licensed out this title to another boutique label and allowed them to release it overseas in a different country, in a different area. So without further ado, what I have is their brand new release of Madman on 4K from Arrow Video. So this basically is another telling of the Cropsey killer story. This is different from The Burning. So it's the same sort of premise, but The Burning is obviously a burn victim. And this is just basically like batshit crazy, off the wall farmer who, much like the Charlie Bull story, so kind of a nod to Halloween, murdered his family and then never turned up. The bodies disappeared. The farmer never turned up. And you get a really fun camp slasher setting all around this movie. I have not fully checked this out yet, but it's on the watch list for this week. This is something that I've only seen like bits and pieces of, and definitely want to sit down and watch all the way through this. So, like I said, this comes from Arrow UK. That is why you have the 18 age logo here on the slipcover. Slipcover is pretty nice. You have the metallic red lettering on there, and then the spine. Let's go that way. Same kind of lettering, if I can catch the reflection a little bit, but no. Back cover is just all of your special features. There is a ton of stuff on here, but for anyone that missed out on that Vinegar Syndrome release, this is basically a carbon copy. So the transfer was done by Vinegar Syndrome, all of the special features on here from them. I think there's about 7 featurettes and then some audio commentaries and what else? Trailer, still gallery, artwork, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and pop off the slip. That is your original poster art cover. The sleeve is reversible, so you do get the slip cover art on the other side of this. Back cover is nothing crazy special, just kind of details all the same stuff that is on the back of the slip. What else? Inside artwork, single disc release, which is, I like when they do this because they fit everything on the 4K. So you don't have to switch discs to watch all the bonus features on a Blu-ray and all that. Typical Arrow fashion. This is a collector's booklet. So I will breeze through this really quick. But oh, there's an awesome shot on the back of the farmer taking a victim. So very cool shot. Collector's booklet is basically a write-up kind of essay, I think, on most of this. Does detail how they did the transfer and some production credits. So I do like that. There's actually just a lot of artwork and kind of a short write-up on the movie. So I will flip through this really quick for you guys. There's table of contents, cast and crew. Another shot, campfire stories, more of the write-up, and just a bunch of different shots and stills from in the movie itself. So love these booklets, very informative, a lot of cool stuff in here as usual. I'm a little disappointed this wasn't one of their bigger limited edition box releases. So it came in the big rigid box that I've shown off here a couple of times. Would have loved to get that, but this will suffice. This is good enough. There is a shot of your villain, and that is the production credits and about the transfer in the back. So pretty cool collector's book. Always like to have those. And I will go through special features really quick, and then we will wrap this up. So, like I mentioned, there is a couple of audio commentaries on here. I believe there's 2. And then you do get a UK exclusive version introduction from a couple of people that worked on the movie. So they introduce the movie before you get into it. I haven't checked that out yet. So that's usually just something short, brief, 15, 30 seconds, and then they get into the intro of the movie. And then you have I'm Not a Screamer, a 2022 interview with star Galen Ross. The Legend Still Lives, 30 Years of Madman. That is a feature-length retrospective documentary on the slasher classic, including interviews with various cast and crew. Madman, Alive at 35. Excuse me. That is another discussion. They kind of look back on the making of the movie 35 years later. So very cool. I like those little roundtable discussions. The early career of Gary Sales. He is the producer, so it kind of goes over his career within the film industry. Some convention interviews with a few of the cast members. Goes over the music with a couple of song selections. So they cover a little bit of the score and the music that they picked. What else do we got here? In memoriam. So there's a little tribute featurette on here, and then the trailer, the TV spots, some stills, and an artwork gallery. So very cool stuff here. Yeah, so that is Madman coming from Arrow UK on 4K.
So I've never seen that movie. I'm gonna have to check it out. But the artwork is tremendous. Like, it's very eye appealing. It is popping. Love the colors. Love the silhouette on the front. And it's definitely going down on my list of movies to see now. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more of a B movie, indie film, but it kind of gained some traction. Has a cult following now. So Vinegar Syndrome and Arrow Video both picked that up. The Vinegar Syndrome artwork, if you can find that, look that up. They did some incredible work on that.
Keith, longtime viewer of the channel, says, "Hey Sean, been around for a while, off and on, watching the channel. Good luck with the new channel. Fandom Empire brought the goods like no other channel with the past Halloween trilogy." Well, I'm glad somebody recognizes that, because other people have different opinions on that, and they're entitled to that. But it really is appreciated, and we hope to be doing the same with the new Halloween TV series. And if they ever get around to doing another movie, which I still say, 2028 seems like a surefire bet. But we're going to be doing all that stuff. But we do want to, also dive into the past, and not just dive into lost sequels, but the movies that were made, because there's a bunch of stories. And like we kind of set an example in our own staff chat the other day that people are unaware of, that we want to shed some light on. So the channel as a whole isn't going anywhere, but it is going through a rebranding. And again, it can't just be a different name. It's got to be a different approach to the content, and it's going to take some time to get there, which is why we're not just starting up right away. But hopefully by mid-July, we are there. And again, I cannot thank just everybody. Tommy B's in the chat right now. Without him, there is no Fandom Empire. So shout out and some love to Tommy B. But can't thank anybody who's been a part of the staff or been hosts on shows enough. I name drop a bunch of them earlier. I don't want to do it again in case I forget someone. But yes, Fandom Empire is coming to an end, and Haddonfield and Beyond will be launching in roughly mid-July. And again, our weekly live streams will end. It'll be more like monthly live streams, which will be more of like a big party thing than it will be a short little thing. So, and likely we'll be doing some watch-alongs on those as well. So really appreciate the support and looking forward to the change. And I hope all you look forward to the change. And I promise that regardless of what happens here, that we are going to give it our all, or else there'd be no point in doing it at all. So we're looking forward to it. On the Halloween TV series rumors, okay, I'm only going to say this once. Whenever Dean and I have been on air, we have always addressed anything we've talked about as rumor, and I've seen it come on. One came up in a personal message to me, which I won't get into, and the other one came up on the Legacy of Halloween group. We would not talk about things unless we believed there was a chance they were true. Does it mean everything's going to be true? No, it doesn't. We're way too early in this process. Frankly, I hope they hit the brakes, go knock on Brian Fuller's door and go, do you have anything you're interested in doing? Because I could hop on that train right away. I don't know if anybody seen what he was going to do with Crystal Lake, but I think that's just a huge missed opportunity for that franchise. Yeah. So take anything Halloween TV series rumor at this time as, you know, a grain of salt from no matter who you hear it from, us and anyone else out there. And that includes the big places, because guess what? The big places can be wrong too. We just gave an example of that earlier on the show from many years ago. So take it with skepticism, but excitement. You know there's a Halloween TV series coming. At some point it will be here. My money is on 2026. It seems the most likely. Enjoy the ride, because once we got to the end of the David Gordon Green trilogy, there was two lines of thought. Oh, I need a break. Or, oh my God, there's no Halloween. What are we going to do without Halloween? Well, it's coming again. Enjoy the ride as the information comes. Enjoy it as Halloween fans. Enjoy it as horror fans, and be kind and respectful to one another is the best way that I can put it. And like, enjoy what you have, because there's a whole other group of fans in the Friday the 13th franchise that, you know, they've been shafted here massively, and they have no idea when they're going to get anything again. It's not fair for them. Elm Street seems a little more promising at the moment. So yeah, on the TV series front, though, as we get ready to close out the show here, TV series that's going to move away from the Laurie Strode stuff. Dean, final thoughts as we